Sup lads, it's your boy Bandana-Boi, and France versus Morocco in the World Cup quarterfinals ends up in France taking a pretty comfortable 2-0 win against Morocco. Let's get straight into this game. The first half was all France. Almost the entire game was all France. It's because of the amount of talent they have. That team is just so well structured and they play so good. I don't know how they do it. They made Morocco look like they were kids, as if it was child's play for them. And I don't get how they do that because against every other team, Morocco looks like they are the dominant force. Even against the Netherlands, Morocco looked good. So far through all of France's games, I haven't really had to talk about the refereeing. The refereeing has been a-okay, and yesterday, the refereeing was great. I don't think there was a single call that I would say was diabolical or wrong or even just a miscalculation. The refereeing was perfect and the better team came out on top. Morocco simply didn't do enough. They looked like they were timid the entire game. They weren't really pressuring, they weren't really attacking, and that fluid style of football that they have in the midfield and attack usually, that they had against Brazil, for example, they didn't have it at all against France. Of course, part of it is because France is just that good. They are much better than Brazil in their current form. France didn't let Morocco get going at all. They couldn't find their footing, and they did amazing to score those two goals. I gotta give a shout out to Bono. He was truly Morocco's best player. Midway through the first half, Mazraoui fouls Mbappe in the penalty box, and France get a penalty. Mbappe shoots, and Bono catches the ball. He doesn't only save it, he catches it. I think it's Mbappe is a phenomenal penalty shooter. I know with penalties it does have a bit of luck where you're basically guessing where the other opponent is going. But Bono did great to fake out Mbappe to the right, and then he dove left, and he caught the ball. And in the last World Cup, he was phenomenal, and this World Cup, he showed up as well. In comparison to France's goalkeeper Mike Maignan, he didn't even get tested that many times. Again, it is not his fault by any means. I am sure he's a great goalkeeper, but France have been so dominant that he wasn't even tested. And up until this game, Morocco had only conceded 2 goals throughout the World Cup. I know they only played 4 games before this, but still, they only conceded 1 goal against the Netherlands and 1 goal against Brazil. And they ended up winning against the Netherlands in penalties. So it is extremely impressive by France to be able to keep a clean sheet and score 2 goals against Morocco. And Morocco's first attempt at goal against the French was in the very last minute of the first half's injury time. Brahim Diaz does great to try to cross it in, and Rabiot's arm is out. I don't know if he implied to hit it into Rabiot's arm so they can get a free kick, but either way, it was great, and they got it from a pretty dangerous spot. Hakimi takes the free kick though, and he completely whiffs it. It goes out, and we go into the second half. Going into the second half, France were already dominating the position the entire game. Even if they didn't have the position the entire time, whenever they did have the ball, they were truly creating chances even if they weren't scoring. Most of the goals they didn't score in the first half were just because of Bono's excellence, no other reason. Because Morocco's defense didn't look like it was on point today. Issa Diop got a yellow card later on, and it would have meant that he would have missed their next game. And he is one of their best defenders. So that was already gonna look kinda grim for Morocco, even if they did advance to the semifinals. But for the first goal, Mbappe, yet again, who else other than him? He is inevitable at this point. Every World Cup game he plays, he scores. He's probably gonna retire as the greatest World Cup player of all time. Because Mbappe is what, 26 years old, 27? And he is already one of the greatest players ever. And just from outside the box, with the least amount of space he could have had, he whips it top bins against Bono. Bono had no chance. He dived fully and he wasn't even close to touching it. An absolutely wonderful strike from him. And he puts France 1 up and he shows why he is their captain. And then just 5 minutes later, Ousmane Dembele, the Ballon d'Or winner, shows why he won the Ballon d'Or. And from just outside the box, he hits a low-driven shot to the right of Bono. Bono does get a hand to it, but unfortunately, the strike is just too strong. It goes past him and goes to the back of the net. Great finish by Dembele and great finish by Mbappe. And that put France 2-0 up. At that point, they weren't even trying to attack fully. They knew they kinda had the game sealed because Morocco were basically creating no chances. But even then, When France were 2-0 up against Morocco, you'd think they'd go on the defensive. Nope, France were generating much more chances. Mbappe was subbed out and Doué, but they subbed in Barcola and Mateta. And somehow, they still looked as dangerous. Even though they didn't convert any chances, they were still looking amazing. Congrats to France because they played an amazing game. And it is hard to see any team beating this France team. They truly are special, and the talent they have is just amazing. I felt like the Moroccan defenders could have done a little bit better to cover Mbappe and Dembele because they just gave them too much space. And I know it's just a quarter of a second is all it takes to give your opponent that chance to get some space and shoot. And Dembele and Mbappe found that and they capitalized on it. France was simply the better team and they have now advanced to the next round. They are in the World Cup semi-finals for the third World Cup in a row, which is insane to say. And they will be facing the winner of Spain versus Belgium. I'm gonna be excited to tune into that game today, and we shall see who their opponents are gonna be. With that being said, lads, tell me what y'all thought about the game. I felt like it was a pretty clean game, and France simply played better. With that being said, lads, I appreciate y'all, I love y'all, and that's all from me, boy. Truth!